Hey everybody, welcome to GT Live. I'm Brandon Jones. I'm joined by Elyse Willems.
Hey.
Elyse, do you like tabletop role-playing?
I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
Not familiar. Not a fan.
You should get into it sometime because today for our guests, we have Matthew Mercer and Marisha Ray from Geek and Sundry's Critical Role.
Yay.
Amongst many other things, you guys are accomplished voice actors. Yeah. But we're specifically here, we want to talk about Critical Role.
Yeah.
Because this is a show, this is something you guys have going, and something that is a formidable show. I mean, this is a 4 to 5 hour role-playing show. You have 8 people. Is that your max number? Is that the max number?
That's our. In Dungeon Mastering, more than 8 people is you're going down the rabbit hole of madness at that point.
It's
so,
already a lot.
Yeah, 8 people is more than I usually max it at 6, but 8 just happened to happen. And
I think even 8. Yeah, we'll get into that later. Just how you managed to pull that off. 'Cause that sounds incredible. I would do one thing per session, and then it would just be everybody getting in line to do
just
stuff.
sit there, get your sandwich.
Today we are playing Dropsy. Mr. Daniel Bloodworth is currently Dropsying it up. I originally had Kyle Bosman slated to play Dropsy, but Kyle was not a fan. Kyle, why don't you feel in Dropsy?
You're a nasty evil clown who doesn't realize how creepy he. Look at it. Oh my god.
Do you want him to think he's creepy? Do you think that's important?
Somehow I think that the way people react to him is sort of intentional.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's meant to be disgusting. It's a horrifying game.
Yeah, it's meant to show you that judging books by its cover is not a good idea.
Oh, you're gonna make me feel bad about not liking this game.
Look at this right here. I'm gonna hug this dog right now.
Kyle is
He's
involved
like
in
a
our
rapist.
tabletop show, Tabletop Adventures, as is Elyse Willems, as is Ian Hinck, who's in the control room. What's up, Ian?
Hi. how's it
And
going?
we are giving away a ton of codes. We have a bunch of codes to give away. We're going to be giving away more of them throughout the week. But we'll be giving away a bunch to the best questions that people can throw at you. And then the last 20 minutes of the show, we will have some community questions for you.
Already getting a lot of questions. People love you guys.
Yeah, I love the emotes. The emotes
Oh
are
yeah,
great.
they're emotes for
You
you.
guys have Critical Role emotes. So
Yes, we
yeah,
do.
man. They're,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's weird.
It was
Life
funny.
is weird.
Yeah,
Life is weird.
it was funny beforehand because I was like, oh, cool, they have a little guy with long hair in the book. And no, that's actually me.
That's
Look
funny,
at that.
that's actually Matt,
Yeah,
yeah.
it surprised me with that one.
Unmistakable.
We never know when they're coming out either, so we'll just be like, what? Ha!
That's Ashley's face. That's your face.
That's
That's a
your
lot of your
face.
face. They're spamming your face.
You're an emote.
It's the
You're an
weirdest thing.
emoji.
So yeah, so you
Weird.
definitely got fans here. They're definitely lining up. Specifically, we're giving away codes for Cube Director's Cut, which is on PlayStation 4. If you guys like Portal, you'll dig this game. I actually played it. One of the developers reached out to me and was like, I would be interested if you played the game. And I went through it. It's kind of like Portal or Journey, where it's just like it's just an evening. It's like an afternoon on the weekend or a good evening playthrough. Nice brain teaser. It's got a nice mystery going there too, and it's a game that you guys might have missed out on PS4. So tons of codes to give away for that. So please pass us along questions. Awesome. But first of all, just want to talk about you guys and let I can't help it when we have voice actors in the show to tell all of the awesome things that you guys have been involved with, just in case people are not familiar.
Fair enough.
Marisha, you're both in Metal Gear Solid 5. You've both done various things
Yes.
Yeah,
in
we're-
MGS5.
Yeah, you probably killed a bunch of us and or recruited a bunch of us.
Yes.
throughout
Depending
the
on what
game.
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have a fan tweet at me the other day a screen cap of my stats of my soldier, and he's like, your stats are better than Big Boss? And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Like, just by the time you recruit me, you're kind of a badass, so you're recruiting badasses.
Yeah.
And
They're going to retcon the actual
like
story
awesome.
for the original Metal Gear Solid to just be about your character.
about me, yeah, it's like,
Or
random
that's the
soldier.
twist at the end of it. The end of
Yeah.
the credits, like you take the mask off. It's
Diamond Soldier
Totally.
43 is the hero.
Yeah.
Let's get that trending, everybody.
that.
in chat.
I like that.
It's a shame that Ben Moore is the DM of our tabletop show. He's unfortunately not here today. He's out of
Aw.
town. Also unfortunate because you are in multiple Persona games. You're in
yes.
one of the Persona Q, and you're in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax as Margaret.
As Margaret, yes. I
you're-
judge you a lot.
You were nice.
Pretty judgy. Yeah.
You're in Akaba's Trip.
Yes.
And you were in tons of TV series and web series. Of course, one of them being Critical
Overtime,
Role.
yeah,
Mr. Matthew Mercer's just out of control here. I went so far back. I went back until about 2014. And then I was just like, okay, we have more stuff to do. I can't go through the whole credits list. You're in Mighty Number 9. We mentioned MGS5. You're in Mad Max, which I'm playing a ton of right now. You are Wedge in Infinity 3.0, which I love. I was like, oh, is it Infinity? Like Wedge.
Yep.
That's so great.
My little Star Wars little badge of honor in that one.
You're in a Batman Arkham Knight. You are Robin, the Tim Drake version of Robin.
Indeed.
Lego Jurassic World, Pillars of Eternity, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, which I think probably has to be the common thread through all of the VO guests that we've had so far on GT Live.
Yeah.
It's like, that's more games than any other. It's Final Fantasy Type 0 HD.
I love that game because it's a Final Fantasy game and it's cool and it's pretty. I also like it because it's one of the few franchises that the title is actually rivaling Capcom for longest game title. Like Street Fighter Alpha plus 0X. And like, I want to see this fight continue.
But it's got such a big cast. Like, it's really known, like, you see the image, the art from that game. It's just all of these students, you know, this battalion of soldiers. And so I wonder if they were just like, we're going to get a big person for that person and for that person.
No,
Just tons of people
so
in this
many
game.
options.
I know.
You were in Evolve. You were in Saints Row: Get Out of Hell. You were in Game of Thrones, which I need to play.
Yeah.
I played the
Who
first
are you in Game of
chapter.
Thrones?
I play the smaller character Feng, who's this guy still dies, but at the very beginning, Bowen. He's like the other guy that's the very beginning, who's also a steward with you, and you can choose whether he lives or dies. And he's kind of a dick. That's my guy.
Nice. Yeah, I remember.
You were in multiple Skylanders games. Mr. Mike Huber is also out this week, who is our resident Resident Evil freak. You're the current Leon S. Kennedy.
Yes.
Not the original Leon S. Kennedy.
No.
There have been other Leon S.
Yeah,
Kennedys.
there's Paul Haddad and then Paul Mercier and then Matthew Mercer.
Right.
To keep it
But
nice
screw
and
those guys. You're Leon now. That's all I can, you know.
I based a
That's
lot
when
of
we
it
have
off.
him on the show. Then.
Well, there we go. But yeah, no, they all did a fantastic job, and that character was a huge honor to take over. So I'm happy.
And you were in a film and 2 games, Revelations
Yep.
2 and 6, and the film.
The Damnation.
Damnation,
That's the one,
yeah. There's Damnation and Devastate. The result, yeah.
all the D
You
names.
got to be specific. And I want to wrap it up. Probably the game I've heard your voice in most because I have not. There's not a day has gone by I've not played Hearthstone since that game has launched. You were my boy Rexar from Hearthstone. That is
the hunt begins.
Yes. Didn't even have to ask. So
Fan service.
So we're here specifically to talk about tabletop and talk about talk about Critical Role, talk about the show. Yeah. But you guys have done a lot in VO. Congratulations! You have very accomplished careers, and hopefully you guys recognize them from the multiple projects they've been in. But let's talk Critical Role. How did this start? How did the whole idea happen? Because you kind of seem to be in charge. Did you bring this to Geek and Sundry? Was this an idea that they had?
Well, we've been playing the game for 2 years just as our own private campaign beforehand. And it all began with Liam O'Brien, who some of you might know is the voice of Illidan, Stormrage, and a bunch of other great things he's
Gollum.
done. Gollum and Shadows of Mordor, stuff like that. He wanted to run a game for his birthday because he hadn't played since he was a kid. And he's like, hey, Matt, I know you Dungeon Master. Can you run a one-shot for me and a bunch of our mutual friends who had never played D&D before? I'm like, yeah, sure. So got Marisha, got a bunch of other voice actors in like Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Sam Riegel,
Which
Ryan
is also
Nakaba.
part of how it got to be so big. It was supposed to be like a one-shot, so he's like, I'm inviting everyone.
Like you invited how many people to the... Okay, let's make
He's like,
this
I'm
happen.
inviting this person
And then
too.
And when you play it and it turns into a campaign eventually, because everyone who had never played before were like, so when's the next game?
Right.
And it just became a campaign. But you couldn't tell anyone you can't play anymore, so I was like, all right, this is my responsibility as a DM to try and run 8 players through this campaign.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, so like we played for 2 years, and then eventually word got around, I guess, in the industry about this voiceover D&D game, and eventually...
Essentially just about us talking about it, like between Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham would go into sessions and talk about it with their directors, and then those directors would talk to other directors, and then we would go to panels. We would go to cons and talk about it in our panels. It would inevitably get brought up.
We get
It's
excited.
it's like the anti-Fight Club. Like all you guys are doing is talking
We're
about
just
it.
talking about it,
You're
yeah.
VO actors.
Well, it was one of those things. Everyone's like, so about this video game, you're like, that's cool. So, if you can roll up a
D&D.
character,
Yeah.
what would be your race class combination? Like, we're huge nerds. So.
Well, and Liam was posting a lot of videos on his Vine and posting pictures, so the general public sort of knew about it if you were following us.
Yeah, I think eventually it was Ashley Johnson, plays our cleric. Those who don't know who Ashley is, she was Ellie in Last of Us. She's been in a multitude of film and television shows. She's right now coming up on the show Blind Spot, which is a TV show that you see everywhere on buses around the city. But she talked to Felicia Day about it, and Felicia said, "Oh, well, that sounds like a cool idea." And she came to us if we were interested in doing it on their channel. And we were first kind of a little trepidation because it's a very personal thing to an extent, and we weren't sure if it would translate well, and it's kind of putting yourself out there, and it's a lot of pressure on your dungeon master to produce new content every week with thousands or some
It's a lot of
cases
pressure
hundreds
on
of
all
thousands
of
of
us.
people going, what was that role again? You know.
Each
Yeah.
one of us that are representing.
Well, you gotta
like,
have your
our
own
individual
rules, though. I
classes.
mean, I guess we can start there with the question. It's like if you make a mistake or somebody brings out something afterwards, like we're not gonna go back and retcon that.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
We're not
Yeah.
gonna. Well, just that'll be the new rule now. Or
Yeah.
you guys have had that happen before.
Yeah, we have so many house rules just because we're really lax and we always forget what we did the previous week. So we're just like, house rule, this is how it
and
is.
they usually
Yeah.
work out in
So-
your favor. Like you're totally forgetting
Oh, yeah.
that like you got some buff or something happened or some item that you could have used.
Yeah, and I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys do this, but we make up like fun little rules that pertain to certain characters. Like, do you guys do that? Where
Yeah, we'll definitely do that from time to time. We'll
Yeah.
be like, gosh, a Scanlan. I feel like our bard has so many.
He's
Rules.
a special character.
Okay,
Keys, yes.
so I was looking at your show and then I got super confused because there's been so many episodes and I couldn't keep up with the plot. But Scanlan was Burt Reynolds at one point.
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
our
Go
known bard of the game, played by Sam Riegel. He early on our campaign got in a situation where they were essentially snuck into the Thieves Guild, got caught, and were trying to find a way without being slaughtered by hundreds of these very well-trained dagger-wielding, assholes. And he went ahead and used his bardic abilities to create an illusionary mustache and introduced himself as Burt Reynolds, and convinced him that he was part of the what was it, the
Immigrations department.
something like that of the city,
Like that?
and they were
Yeah.
checking out the vicinity, and don't worry about us, we're just gonna go check out the movie on our way. Customs. It was customs, and he rolled a super high. We were playing Pathfinder at the time, bluff, and like natural 20 succeeded, and since then he's used Burt Reynolds as his kind of ulterior persona
Yeah.
whenever he's trying to, really talk his way out of a
Whatever,
situation.
yeah.
That's
how that
awesome.
came about.
But he made a special potion that was what I can only say is like a shit scrying potion. He drank it.
He's been very creative with his
Yes.
arcane abilities.
And then you can just do a scrying spell.
Which you want, but
through-
makes your job more difficult at the same time.
Well, also, it's just like we're having an extensive conversation about the alchemical and arcane properties of our gnome's poo, and like there's a certain point where I have to kind of move the story along and be like, all right, so next scene. But yeah, it definitely makes for an interesting cluster of personality.
Oh yeah.
But that's an interesting question, though. I mean, you said that this used to be something private that you guys used to do. This was something personal. I'm sure you guys are really busy, so it's like also an opportunity. At least it is for me whenever I get together with friends to do a D&D campaign to
like,
see
see
them.
them.
Yeah.
To actually
Yeah.
socialize and have
Spend
fun. So it's
time,
like
yeah.
a little bit of that. You're doing
Yeah.
the story at the same time. You're also having fun. Does it kind of get in your head that like, oh, it is a show, so like I do have to wrap things up for a certain time frame, or like I do have to keep it interesting for the audience, or remember people that are potentially donating money to us or really involved in our community? Like, does that trip you up at all, or has that just made things interesting and different?
I was worried it would, honestly. When we first started the show, I think that was a big concern because I didn't want it to change our fun. At the bottom line, we all agreed that if we did it for a few weeks and it changed it too much where we didn't enjoy it anymore, we wouldn't do it. And that was our big kind of worry going into our first episode, was like, is this going to be okay? Or we come out here going like, wow, that was the worst thing we've ever done. And honestly, once we started up, it was like nothing had changed, except for now there was this new added factor of amazing feedback and a community that began to build around it that was just so positive and so talented and incredible that began to buy into the story as much as we were. And it's a little more work on my end, having to weekly put it up there and make sure that it's up to par, that I won't be torn apart by the entirety of the internet weekly. But we also were very, very lucky that we have so many great players that can really get into character, and we have a great community that's always very supportive and eager to see what's next. And we've had some points where we've let the audience poll on what creatures they would encounter, so the audience actually gets to interact and choose what possible TPK might come up in the near future.
Yeah, that's good fun.
So yeah, it's been really, really great, actually. I've really had no negative things to say about the transition.
So it sounds like you as a DM, this is a role that you accepted very early on in life. Sounds like something that you were like, well, I just DM, that's what I do. Like, how did that happen? How did you choose that role, or was that role thrust upon you?
It happened in my freshman year of high school, when my first real campaign of D&D was run by a very nice guy who just was not at all a very good DM. He had his own character in the party and always gave himself the best magical items. And,
He's in the party. And
yeah.
Conflict of
That's
interest.
not-
I know, but
Major
I
conflict.
didn't know any
Does.
better.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
My first game. And he's like, yeah, well, I have a paladin, but I'm also using the fighter kit, 'cause this is second edition D&D. And he's like, and I have 2 +3 katanas, and I have my griffin mount and my holy sword that I got from my quest. I just woke up and I'm like, I'm done. And I backed out of the game. read the books and decided to run a game myself. And since then, I've just kind of always been the DM.
Is that how you guys got into voice acting too? You're just watching shows as kids, and you were like, "This is terrible." I can do
Just
better than
pure
this.
entitlement.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe with Resident Evil.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it-
Jill's
bad in,
sandwich.
bad in, yeah, bad in a good way. Yeah, you just legitimized it. That's the problem.
There we
That's
go.
where, but yeah, and so this is a huge responsibility. So that you like that is difficult. I mean, how much time does it really take to like set up a show like per episode?
Per episode, I'd say, yeah, it's about a 4 to 6 hour prep per week.
It's about he probably does about an hour of prep per hour of game time.
Wow.
Well, more of that now because it's just building the world in advance.
Bigger,
And
yeah.
it's one thing to build a story, but you also have to build enough side stories and other things because you don't know what the players are going to do, and they always go off the rails. And you don't want to provide too many rails because I like it being player choice and kind of open-ended and open world. So it's a little more effort on my time, but I think it makes for a more fluid and interesting player-driven experience.
I think your audience would agree. I think people are digging it, and your audience is growing, right? The word is getting out.
Yeah,
and
we've
you're
got
seeing
like
on
the best
episode
audience.
12 comes out tomorrow.
That comes out on YouTube. On
Okay.
the actual website of Geek and Sunday, we're up to episode 24.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Airs tomorrow live on Twitch.
Oh,
Right.
okay, cool.
So they go on, they're live on Twitch on Thursday
Thursdays.
nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then they go on the Twitch archive immediately. So if you're subscribed to Geek and Sundry, you can watch it as soon as it's done, and then they go on Geek and Sundry the Monday after.
Yep.
And then YouTube is behind because,
No, drive traffic to the
exclusivity and
website
stuff.
and everything.
Yeah.
And this has all been one continuous campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Episodes
Yes.
1 through 24. Are you stopping at 100 or what? What's the game plan for the
We're
way the
kind of
story is
going,
progressing?
man. We're just going.
Yeah, there's no real game plan. Like any D&D game, we just keep playing until
Yeah.
Until
Right now
I
it's
think you
everyone
do
dies.
other campaigns. Like I don't know if you in your history have managed 2 different campaigns, or like your DM one thing and your friend is DMing another, and then
Right.
you're doing something, and you might want to change it up. Like I got a fantasy thing over here and a western thing over here and a sci-fi thing over here.
I used to.
Have you thought about
I used to.
dropping a fantasy thing for a new season or something?
We'll see. I mean, when this campaign, whenever it runs to an end, because things eventually do, but they're around level.
Eventually, we'll be
11.
killing gods. And
Yeah,
we'll
when-
be
when-
like,
when-
oh well, we're conquering the sun, so
Yeah, then you
should probably call it.
I wouldn't mind checking out other systems. I love a lot of other systems. I really enjoy the Savage Worlds game system, and they have a lot of like Deadlands. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like kind of a weird Old West style. Like, what if the Old West all of a sudden had the appearance of undead and demons and stuff? And it's a really, really cool setting and a cool system where magic is actually cast and played through poker. So depending on how good your hand is and how well you play it, your thing does more damage, and you use like poker chips as like fate chips to change a scenario. It's a really, really cool system and a cool setting. So I wouldn't mind running something like that. Or Paranoia is also a really good system that ruins friendships.
Right.
It's fun to watch, I'm sure.
I've heard you bring these up in the past. Definitely Paranoia. I've heard you talk about.
Yeah, I've never played it, but I've always wanted to.
It's good.
I'm
And then-
learning Dread right now.
Oh, I've heard good things about that.
Yeah.
You use a Jenga tower instead of dice.
Mhm.
It seems awesome.
Oh,
have you
man.
played Fiasco?
Fiasco, I have it. We own it. We haven't played it yet.
Yeah,
It
we
is
haven't touched it.
the best. It's the best like
okay.
single sitting one, I think. Out
Fiasco's our fill-in whenever someone leaves, because that's the thing. I can't imagine that everyone
Oh,
makes it.
yeah.
I mean, like, what do you do when someone dropped out of an episode?
Ashley Johnson's now filming in New York, so
Oh, right,
so
okay.
her character she's gone for like, I don't know, months and months at a time. So her character found out that her deity, 'cause she's a cleric, her god's temple that had long been buried was recently uncovered, and there's not a lot of followers in the city that are trying desperately to renovate it. So she decided to leave the party to help them raise the temple and to eventually return. So like I've built in storyline elements as to why they're not there for a few weeks or.
Now, did you take that on, or did you kind of work with her to figure out like what would you be doing?
I took that on.
Okay.
Partially because people are really busy.
Right.
And it's hard to get together beforehand to discuss that.
Plus, that's metagaming.
Yeah, true.
That's metagaming.
But it's like to help build storylines with the players too, to an extent.
Yeah, of
you know.
course. Well, and we all have our backstories that we've worked out, over time, and there's some stuff that we've talked with Matt individually about and kind of have sort of pre-thought out. But for the most part, we're along for the ride.
Yeah, it's all improvised, nothing scripted. It's all like
Nothing scripted. We get asked that a lot, especially if there's like a serious moment or something crazy happens. They're like, "Oh, this is scripted, isn't it?"
Yeah,
He's
just
like,
imagine you writing a 5-hour script.
I know, right?
It's like,
Imagine us
there we go. Okay,
remembering.
learn your lines, guys. You all come in off
Jesus.
book.
Yeah.
You should take that as a compliment, though.
Yeah.
That people think
Yeah,
it's that
yeah.
good
That's
that
scripted,
you
Yeah.
pre-decided.
Unfortunately, at some point, I do have to bring this conversation back to Dropsy because it is the game that we are playing in the background.
because
Yes.
it is the
I
stuff
don't
of
know.
nightmares.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there is a lamenting clown wandering around
Just
with the
wandering
dog
around.
following him.
Yeah.
It's
What's going on?
thematic. You know, it adds ambiance.
Is he getting bigger? What is happening?
He's just a giant.
No, he's not getting bigger.
He's just a
So
giant
bulbous.
clown. That's not his face, right?
He's got
That's like a
some
mask
pretty
he's
sweet
wearing,
kicks.
right?
I don't know.
And he just
But you can control the dog independently, you see, so, you know.
He looks like something you'd fight in Earthbound, and never forget because it scars you.
So you have your items. It's just it's a traditional adventure game. You're going screen to screen.
Yeah,
you're talking to people. They all have needs and wants, and you need to get stuff to them. And
Yeah,
solve
there's an
puzzles.
old man crying in the graveyard because his wife was dead apparently, and I had a locket that I found earlier that was a picture of them, and then that made it happy, and then I could hug him. So it seems like the idea is to make everyone let you hug them.
Despite the fact that you look like a denizen of the fourth layer. Oh.
Right.
Dropsy's the unsung hero then of this game.
Yeah, everyone hates him. Everyone absolutely
Yeah,
hates
I don't
him.
know who this guy is. This is
Can
the
you
first time I've
embrace
seen
it?
the cop.
Can
Oh.
Dropsy embrace the darkness and then go
He likes to
full-
hug, so maybe he's gonna hug the darkness.
Huh.
And is that a chicken? What is that? What do you have following?
What is going on?
What's following me?
Yeah,
That's
what
his
do you-
dog?
That's
his
the
little
dog.
Oh,
on
it's a
the
dog.
bottom.
Okay.
Oh, did you just find like
I'm actually watching the stream, and you were behind the truck at the moment. So.
Oh, okay.
My-
Oh, there was a guy in a chicken costume at one point.
nice?
That might have been it.
So these are them crazy video games. We're gonna talk a little bit more. We'll get back to the
Oh,
pen and
yes.
the paper, the
Yeah,
tabletop,
yeah.
the board games.
Yeah, but we love them, the
Which-
video games.
Well,
But on the
that was going to be my
kids
next
plan?
question. What specifically? What genres do you like? What do you when you have spare time, which it doesn't sound like you have a lot of?
A little bit.
What do you
Yeah.
fill it with in the digital realm
Well,
of gaming?
definitely RPGs, if you couldn't have probably maybe guessed. We like our RPGs. We're World of Warcraft players on our good days, on our good times. And being
Yeah.
Still, you've been consistent the whole time.
Eventually,
With your subscription, maybe not
Subscription,
like
yes.
actually spending time in
Of
there.
course,
No.
with the subscription, because
I reached a certain point where I was like, okay, this garrison thing is
Still
just a
like
second
not
job.
very
yeah.
Oh, shipyard. Oh, it's just another garrison.
Oh, it's just okay.
But,
oh,
you know,
and- okay.
I'm excited for the new expansion.
Yeah,
Yes.
Legion. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
pumped
Yeah.
for that? They somehow they do it every single time. They get everybody that's just back in. They're
I
pumped.
know.
You know.
I know.
Well, they got a good creative team. They know how to write a good story and how to present it well. So as long as they can make things not more like the garrisons, I'll be happy.
Ah, okay.
I miss the cities. I didn't realize how much I miss the cities until I was like, no one comes and visits me at my garrison. I don't talk to anybody anymore. Just stay and work in my garrison. This is too much like real life, you guys.
What's
This
even
is too much
depressing-
of an allegory.
You know, it's even depressing if you're really into like Dalaran or I can't remember
Yeah.
Burning Crusade what like the hub was, and it's just
Shattrath,
like, yeah,
that
it's
one, yeah.
Shattrath. It's just depressing to go back and just nobody's.
No one's
I
there
know.
anymore,
Just a
and you're like,
ghost
oh, it's
town.
empty.
I know.
Everyone moved away.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like Detroit.
Although to be fair, there are still a lot of people in Dalaran because a lot of people still miss Dalaran. Everyone's
okay.
gone there. There's still
Yeah.
folk there like, I know this
I'll
isn't
still go to
convenient.
Dalaran.
Yeah, you could just- yeah, you
I
could
know
just
this
work
isn't
it.
convenient. I don't
I
care.
don't need any of these items here, but you
I
know,
took 4 portals to get here. Worth it.
like 20 levels
Human
past
connection.
these potions. But whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 has been consuming most of my free time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Bloodworth on the couch. They reviewed Witcher 3 for us.
Yeah.
We're
And
talking
I
about,
bet,
which actually kind of clues into. We're talking about. We're going to talk about Countdown next. So we do a countdown every week. This week we're doing the top 10 anticipated games of fall 2015, which was actually never done before. At the beginning of the year, we do anticipated of the year. We try to figure out like not general anticipation, just us, just like our
Right,
team,
right,
for,
right.
like what we're excited for. And this has just been such a killer year. I mean, like we're just starting now to think about like look back at the end of the year and think like what are the big games? You know, your Bloodborne, your Witcher 3.
Yeah.
You know, like what's going to be up for contention for game of the year at the end, and there's so many things that that we haven't even gotten yet.
Yeah.
You know, Star Wars
Yeah.
Battlefront
Yeah.
and a couple games, unfortunately, that are number 11s this week that did not make our top 10 anticipated games. Do you guys have anything before we get into the discussion? Anything you're anticipating this year? Maybe even stuff that you're in. You know, stuff that.
Well, stuff that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
Well, there is that stuff.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know
There's a
But,
fine line.
But I mean, I think everyone's mind's going to be perpetually on Fallout 4, Fallout 4,
Yeah,
Fallout
Fallout,
4,
yes.
Fallout 4, Fallout 4,
Fallout.
Fallout 4.
When's the next Tomb Raider slated to come out?
Is
that
November,
next?
right?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's same day
Same
as
day
Fallout.
as Fallout?
That is, yeah,
Oh.
exclusively for Xbox One and then PlayStation 4 and PC next year.
So that. Oh,
So Fallout.
man.
So Fallout. And then Tomb Raider.
That's not fair.
You know, that's the big.
Why would they do that?
I'll be like one of the only people playing Tomb Raider over Fallout, I think.
Me and you.
I played Mad
Me
Max
and you
over at
together.
PS5. I'm one of those crazy people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still trying to finish up Mad Max. But specifically, to talk about our number 11. So we're actually honoring 2 today, and these are the 2 tragic games that we are anticipating. They're really up there. Kyle's going to talk about one of them, but that face.
Sure.
That dropsy face. You got caught on it.
Where are you right now?
So I gave a homeless woman a sandwich, and then she let me sleep on the cardboard box next to her, and now this is the dream.
You're like walking on milk. or
Dropsy is
something?
pathetic. Dropsy lives the most pathetic existence I've ever seen.
This is
This
Dropsy's
game makes
dream
me
right
I
now.
feel so bad for him.
I've had this
And we picked
peyote
this
trip
game to
before.
play.
Yeah. No, this is.
Wow.
I'm learning a lot about myself just watching this, and I don't like what I'm
my
learning.
God.
It's another Friday night.
Are you scared now, Mercer?
What is? Well, that's my Halloween
The
costume.
two of you
figured out.
enter a rainbow realm. The clouds are made of milk. Roll for initiative.
Dropsy, the RPG, coming out next year, 2016.
Yeah, no, seriously. I'm going to be watching the episode next week, and you're going to be like, okay, a giant cloud comes up, and a mouth jumps out of it. And I'm going to be like, wait a minute.
I
We
know it is.
inception to that. Oh man.
I would totally play a Dropsy RPG.
Too much dropsy.
Oh, there's too much to talk about. So really quick, to talk about a couple games that you will not be hearing about this weekend on our top 10 anticipated games of fall 2015. I will talk very briefly about my number 11, which was Rock Band 4, which didn't make the cut. We're still incredibly excited for it. I mean, we're streaming now on our Twitch channel. This is like one of the ultimate stream games, and we can't wait. Like I want to do like multiple evenings. You know, I was thinking like we could have like multiple bands. And we
like-
could like build the bands.
Do like an oldie, like a 60s night,
Right.
70s
Well, we
night.
could set up like Ian will be the headliner of one band, and we'll figure out like who's guitar, who's drums. Like
Oh.
I'll headline another band. We can figure out like is there a drummer for that? Yeah, we like battle of the bands.
Oh, yeah.
And
Let
then
us
each
know,
band
man.
like.
If you guys
picks-
want to bring the
They're going
roll
down.
people,
Oh yeah,
Damn good
totally.
drummer.
Pretty good.
I'd play a pretty decent upper level hard.
It's like a
drums, I'm
rock
just
band
saying.
bender. You
Yeah.
could call it a rock bander.
Oh, no.
Or a bander bender.
Bander
There you
bender. Oh, I like that. Bander bender. That's good. That's good.
But yeah, it's just, I think the big thing is, the other 10 games on the list are all trying something new this year. And I think just the thing we're excited about is it's coming back. We're playing it. Like every time I go to events, I'm just like, oh, I should probably go back and play Rock Band. I'm just like, yep, they haven't. It's like riding a bike. They haven't. They haven't skipped a beat.
When Rock Band came out and Guitar Hero, there was an era where like all of a sudden everyone was buying it. It was this weird kind of
Yeah.
fervor that everyone was just like, oh wait, I just got Rock Band. Can you guys want to come over and play? And it was like
I
you
was
and
gonna
your
say, it made you
friends.
like the cool kid again.
Yeah.
Like when you had the Nintendo 64 and you're like, you guys should come over to my house.
It had the same effect.
You have two
like,
guitars?
You got, oh, what, man? Oh, dude. Party at your place. I hated you before, but
I was
yeah,
definitely the
Rock
only person I
Band.
knew that had the keyboard, like when that came
Oh,
out.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the
The
keyboard.
I have the guitar with the
Oh, no,
Ion
I
drum
guess not.
kit.
Yeah,
Well, the Ion drum
not
kit
anymore, but
is
it's
my
still-
husband's and the guitar's mine.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when you guys split up, you're like, I'm taking the guitar.
Except like a lot of the, yeah, I like
Inevitably.
label maker put
Notice
my
you
name
said
on the
the
back.
gland.
But a lot of those like wired instruments on the 360 aren't going to work now.
This is true, yeah, and
So we're
they actually do a really good job. They have if you go to their website, they have a list of like everything that will work, everything that won't work.
Yeah.
It's tricky because whenever I do interviews or we're talking about it, I'm like, I don't want to say anything because I might not know if like that's supported or not.
Right.
So Rock Band 4, we love you. Harmonix, yes, thank you. Sorry, you are tied for number 11 with Transformers Devastation, which is why I was thinking of Devastation earlier.
There we go.
It's
So
like
that
it's a
makes
D
sense.
word, but I can't remember. Which I played at Comic-Con and loved. Really thought it was great. Like really loved the combat, which I was not like combat. It's not something I remember really enjoying or being really gratifying in a Transformers game. But you can pick your characters, you run around. It's great.
Yeah.
Kyle, Transformers.
I don't understand why it's not on the top 10, basically. I mean, even the word devastation is a powerful word.
Just on words, we should grant things anticipated status.
Think of the word Transformers and then put devastation right after it. Something big is going down. It's a game by Platinum. You're Transformers. You're transforming mid combos.
Yeah.
I'm a truck fighting you, and then I'm a robot fighting you, and then I'm back to a truck. I'm
You
using
can
my
pick
axe.
up weapons, and you can have those specific weapons. So like Optimus can have his like big axe or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you can switch those to combos. So you can be attacking with one weapon, and then mid combo switch to a second weapon, and then bring that in.
What do you think the deal is? Why couldn't we convince everyone else to put this in top 10?
Because it's just Transformers, and there's been so many Transformers games, and it's really something, like we're looking at gameplay now, and like I was sold on it before Comic-Con. I'm like, yeah, that looks like fun, and it really wasn't until I got my hands on it and actually played it that I was like, wow, this is tough. Like, I actually have to figure out how to like get away, kind of Dark Souls style, from this boss and like find a weak point. And
See that excites me because just from a visual standpoint, I haven't seen a Transformers game that captured the original like visual flair of the old series. It's at its highest peak of quality, like this one has. And so I was like, this game looks beautiful. I hope it plays well. So that makes me really, really excited.
And especially like the Michael Bay era, we got like those games, and then we got like a weird kind of mix of the Bay world and the old school world, and like this is just straight up old school. And it's really fun because it's Platinum Games, who just excels at action games, and they were like legitimately thrilled to work on the project. I think it was like they pitched the team, like they pitched Transformers. They were like, hey, we want to work on it. Like somehow they got involved. And it was like they were humble to work on Transformers.
From my understanding, it was
like, oh my god, of course, go.
They talked to Platinum about Transformers, and then Platinum came back to them with like, we want it to look like the '80s cartoon, and then I think that's how that went down.
That's cool.
So yeah, lots of love in that project. Kyle is pumped. Kyle probably won't review it because he doesn't review games, so one of us will check out Transformers. But we're getting it this year. Do you know when that's launching?
I do not know.
We get Rock Band in October, I believe. Yeah, the end of October, possibly the third week, somewhere around there. We get Guitar Hero live at the beginning of October, so it's Battle Royale for music games in October.
I just want to point out real fast, how can you make a creepy-ass clown scarier? Put it in the middle of a graveyard, a mausoleum.
Yeah.
This is everything my childhood did not want to see in the background, this entire stream. It's
But I'm
wonderful.
glad-
Aesthetically, it's really well done. Too.
Yeah, I love the
It
animation.
looks great.
And definitely, the world is definitely cohesive. And Blood, I gotta hand it to you. You've definitely been exploring a lot. I'm glad that we aren't just kind of toiling around like the same area for an hour.
I think I've seen most of the areas though, but I'm just now kind of cluing into different things. So, like I took like an old photo of like some old friend or something, and like I put it in front of one of the graves, as well as a sock for some reason. And now I'm supposed to go back to the tent. So
I really hope Bloodworth gets consumed by the world of Dropsy. He doesn't come into work tomorrow.
Dropsy for Halloween.
Yeah, we're like, what's happened to Bloodworth?
Dropsy Bloodworth. It is the midpoint of the show, and at the midpoint of the show, we show a trailer. TGS just happened, and there are tons of awesome trailers for TGS. I really thought long and hard about having a TGS trailer, but you guys were just talking about Blizzard, so I know you guys will sympathize. Anytime Blizzard releases a cinematic, just that wins. I mean, that trumps. I don't mean for that to trump like an entire show, but like, this is the third concluding chapter of StarCraft 2.
Right.
And this trailer kicks some ass. It is a badass trailer. The opening cinematic of Star Trek II: Legacy of the Void. Enjoy.
The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our proud people became refugees. And yet, they could not shatter our unity. For we are bound by the Kala, the sacred union of our every thought and emotion. Today, homeworld. And with it, our legacy.
So yeah, the whole StarCraft Star Trek merger is something not a lot of people know about.
I know, yeah. That's
I don't know if you caught that, right at the end of the cinematic.
no,
the
that was
Enterprise just comes
fascinating
flying in.
hearing all
That's-
about that.
Little known
That's like-
information. Gene Roddenberry, huge RTS guy. Before he passed away, it was really amazing.
Oh boy! But I mean,
Played
is
that
that
off
okay?
well.
So you mispronounce things. You guys are voice actors. You have to to pronounce.
happens.
Sometimes you get names wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody is it bad form to correct you as a DM in the middle of the campaign? Like, have you ever said something and they're like, wait a minute? If you're just like, quiet you.
There's been a few times where it's been like weird, where we didn't know. Like there was this one time we were fighting this dude and we thought he was a devil, and then he said demon, and we were like, oh, you mean devil? And he was like, I mean, sorry. And then it turns out like he was a demon the whole time, and it was like, oh, was that on purpose? Was he being tricksy? It was just weird. The whole thing was weird.
It was totally
never-
intentional. Completely.
I've never forgotten that, Matthew. You have to explain that to me.
Some drops
But now we
level
don't like
shit.
trust him because you wrote it off. You're like, oh, sorry, I misspoke. And then it turned out you
That he
didn't.
wasn't, I know.
So now it's like he's like the Willy Wonka of D&D. We're like, well, I don't trust anything. I don't know what's real anymore. Everything's a lie. I don't know.
But I'm definitely that guy at parties when someone's talking about Star Wars and then they just like insert Star Trek and like everyone understands what they mean, so they
yeah.
don't say anything. They're just
Right.
like, I know what you meant, and I'm that guy that's like, we have to address this. Like, so I love both Star Trek and StarCraft and recognize that they're very different things. Although a Star Trek RTS, have we ever gotten that? That'd be cool.
I feel like we
Some
have.
kind of base building.
I think there is
degree.
one.
Yeah.
And Sip Beyond Earth is pretty cool. It'd be nice
I
if
think
we got a
there's
little
one that's not good that
Star Trek
exists.
license on there.
I played it, I think.
We gotta switch games. This game's done.
We're done with drops.
Oh, come on.
We gotta switch games. It's too late, Kyle. We gotta switch games. That's a first on GT Live.
Are you okay?
I trust you,
Kyle?
bud.
I'm all right. He's just this is
Kyle's
too
very.
much.
It's just
This is
Kyle's
Very
sensitive.
emotional. Not about everything, but just about very select things. Like you never know. You never know what's really gonna trip Kyle up.
this one's a little much for me.
And
All
Dropsy-
right.
But what's cool here is the people that I've helped so far. Like there's little drawings of them on the wall.
He's the good guy, Kyle.
I know.
The thing about all this that scares me the most is how okay with everything Blood is. he's just like, no, guys, this is normal. This is fine. What do you
And I
see?
didn't even know he was playing. Like I told Kyle to play,
Yeah.
and I let him come in. Like Blood's on the couch. I'm like, oh, you hanging out with GT Live Blood? He's like, no, I'm playing it. I'm
I
like,
feel like if we could see,
okay.
Okay, sure.
if we could see through Blood's eyes, this is just what the world looks like outside.
He's got one of those like dropsy like man pillows.
Yeah.
He
Oh, yeah.
just like cuddles up with. It's gotta be a tall
Dropsy
one.
love.
It's a tall man.
Sorry. For Dropsy's like loosely pulling down one of his suspenders, like kind of coyly. Little anime eyes.
Let's go there, guys. I mean, let's not.
Yeah.
When it comes to Dropsy, I mean, we owe it to him not to hold back.
This is true.
So really quick, before we turn the questions over to our chat, I'm curious what they will toss at you. I want to talk just about. I guess we can start with. The fact that we live in an era where you guys can stream, 4 to 5 hours of D&D, and people watch and are into it.
Not only do people watch and are into it, we have so many fans who are like, I've already rewatched the whole series 5 times. And we're like, how?
Do something.
Dude,
else.
yeah, like,
I can understand
yeah.
maybe putting it out like you're playing a game or something. You're playing Witcher 3. It's like, yeah, I'll put Critical Role in the
Yeah.
background.
No, there are people who know our game better than we know our game at this point.
We get
But
that
not-
too. You guys must get a ton of like fan art too, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like,
So cool.
In that degree, like we didn't think there would be a huge audience for people to watch, like as a spectator game or a spectator element, Dungeons and Dragons. But the community that's built around it, and people seem to be really enjoying it. And a lot of people, what I love about it too, is we're in that era now where the stigma of tabletop role-playing games and pen and paper role-playing games is finally being cast aside, and more people are kind of interested in trying it for the first time. And
Yeah.
so we've had so many fans who've watched the show as their introduction to Dungeons and Dragons or any other role-playing game, and from that went out and found their own game with their own
Yeah.
friends, their local
Every
comic
week,
shop.
Every week we're getting tweets that are like, played my first game of D&D thanks to you guys. And we're
So now
like,
you can't stop. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as that keeps going, just like, how are we going to stop this?
Oh, it's awesome.
What happened? I mean, why do you think there is this kind of resurgence? I went to DICE this past January, and one of the heads of Riot Games, the developers of League of Legends, came out and was like, before I get into like, free-to-play gaming and kind of our business model and how that going, like, hello, board games. Can we just talk about this for 5 seconds? He was like, we are living in a board game renaissance, and went off for 5 minutes about all of these awesome board
Yeah.
games.
It's beautiful.
My theory is because there are fewer and fewer local co-op games, like video games. So we're looking for ways to actually interact with one another.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
actually
tabletop games.
That's actually exactly what I was going to say.
Brandon isn't.
yeah,
Blood's got dropsy.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the exact same thing to second that. Just in today's day and era, so much revolves around being on our phones, being involved in social media. Half of our lives are online at this point. And I think really it's just a further, I think it's kind of a example of how where our society is at this point, that we are desperate for that interaction between each other. And ultimately all we're doing is just communal storytelling. We're just making a story together. So to me, it's almost like the post-wave version of a campfire and sitting around and telling a story. We're just doing it with dice and characters that we made up in our heads.
Well, it excites me because it was born at a time when Gygax and all these crazy guys were trying to figure out, like, how can we tell these adventures? How can we simulate this? And it ended up, building this, which all basically RPGs are based on. And now we have, multiple MMOs. We have Warcraft, we have Final Fantasy XIV. We have all these amazing games you can play that are social. You can play with other people.
Yeah.
Sword Coast Legends, which we haven't talked about yet, is having like a DM mode in that. So there's all sorts of digital fun things you can do to satisfy your role-playing itch, whether you want to play that by yourself or with friends. So I would think that it would have the reverse effect. That now that would just kind of be like, oh, that was just something we did, but it's like a novelty.
Yeah,
but just the fact that it's growing in popularity is just great.
Well, and there's nothing you can really. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
There's nothing you can compare to sitting around the table. And as much as we love video games. We were just sitting here talking about how much we love video games. The difference with pen and paper tabletop is that there are no limits. Even in an RPG where it's pretty open world, you're still constrained by the rules of the video game. With this, it's real life. There are no rules. The rules are there to be broken.
Yeah, if I can compare it, like if you have ever played any Telltale game, and you think of that moment where you're put on the spot, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what to do in this instance. All of these answers seem wrong, but I got to pick something or nothing. It's like that the whole time. Where I think one of the first times when I did a campaign, it was like the DM's eyes just were staring right through my head, because he would finish a paragraph and stare at me, and I'm like, what? And he's
Make
like,
a choice.
You have to do something. What are you going to do? And so it's less like, oh, I have to click on this item, or I have to do this thing within the game's rules. It's like I am constantly every second thinking about what I want to do.
And it's also personalized entertainment. Meaning, when you play a video game, you have a video game that's designed, written, constructed, all the art, all the storytelling, everything is designed for a massive scale audience where most of the median of society would enjoy, of the gamer community. A tabletop role-playing game or a board game you play with your friends is geared directly towards you and your friends. So it's a much more personal experience. And as far as dice role-playing games go, it's such an interactive and a collaborative experience to construct these stories that the memories themselves become so vivid and so wonderful to recall that it bonds you together. It's great team building skills together. I think there's just so many great things about it that are beginning to be reintroduced. As I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's now getting to a point where it's cool to talk about it. For a long time there was a stigma. I know when I was in high school, I didn't run out telling everyone I played Dungeons and Dragons. I played that with the few guys that were already like, we understand, we're cool playing this.
Yeah,
right?
just don't talk about it.
And now we're
It was way more like Fight Club then.
Yeah, it really was.
Talk about it.
And now we're at a place where we're all, the new generation grew up geek. The geek culture is becoming culture, and now people are beginning to realize that all the stigma was needlessly placed against it, and a lot of people are able to talk about their new curiosity on what an actual role-playing game is. And it's just really cool to watch this renaissance grow and continue to grow for now, and I'm excited to see all the new people getting involved in it.
Is that how you want to see it grow? Like, do you what is the word I'm looking for? See, I'm a total noob here. Like, what's the version you're using? Is that what the official term is?
Yeah,
what's the book? With the edition, right?
Yeah.
Well, we started the campaign in Pathfinder, which was an extension of 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. There's a whole long story behind that, but we enjoyed it. But it was very math-heavy for a party of 8 characters, and we kept it going for a while. And the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons had just come out, which was a huge advancement over the 4th edition, which was a huge disappointment in some ways. But 5th edition was much more streamlined. It was much more friendly to storytelling, integrating combat with actual role-playing, and it was much easier to run a battle of a party of 8 people. So we switched over to 5th edition, and I fallen in love with it. And it's not the quintessential, RPG. There are many great systems out there that I love, and I wouldn't say it's the best, but definitely for me, it's a great entry point for a lot of new players.
Totally.
You fan 5th edition and not a fan of 4th edition?
I love 5th edition, yeah. I started on 4th edition, so I didn't really know better.
Right.
Sure.
And then as soon as I read, I got all the books for 5th edition, because I'm in ours and I DM for my family, but
Awesome.
5th edition is just so awesome.
Hang on a second. We
Yeah.
can't skip over that. You DM for your family?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, we use Roll20 and I DM here, and one of them's in, my sister and her boyfriend are in Minneapolis, my dad's in Wisconsin, and my friend Reed is in Omaha, Nebraska.
That's so cool.
I want your family.
I know.
Yeah,
me
it's
too.
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I tried dungeon mastering
great.
for my family once, and it got weird.
Yeah,
Because
they're
my dad made a bard, my mom made a wizard, and the first 20 minutes of the campaign, my dad and mom just kept hitting on each other's characters. I'm like, all right, guys, this is working. I gotta back out of here. This is
We're a
not for
very
me.
we've always communicated through board games,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So when we go home, we just play board games constantly together.
That's awesome.
So
That's
it's
so
kind of
cool.
it naturally fits.
That's
Yeah.
It's
great.
good.
That's so
That's
cool.
awesome.
Everybody wants your family, Ian.
Let's give Ian a round of applause for him.
Ian's family, everybody. Ian's family.
Upsides and downs.
We need to get into chat and get at some questions, but one other thing that I want to ask, which is a very easy, boring question, obviously, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You guys are actors. This is a great acting workshop, I think that was one of the things that really opened my eye to it. I used to do acting before I got into video production, and after my first campaign, I was like, wow, this helps acting, this helps with directing, this helps with writing, this helps with storytelling. There's so many ways that this just kind of blows your mind up.
Yeah.
Also, social skills.
Sure.
Yeah.
Really? You think? I mean, did it help you with social skills when you were in high school?
Well, it made me more comfortable with being able to adapt to a social situation.
Sure.
From an improvisational standpoint, it's incredible, and there's a reason why you see a lot of these major screenwriters and directors that are basically inheriting the entertainment industry also were longtime tabletop role-playing gamers and board gamers, because that type of gameplay just it inspires the creative mind to build worlds and want to tell the story out into the world. And so now we're just able to marry that with an actual career, and it's really cool to see that emerge.
But we've seen a lot of. We support a charity called 826LA, and they support creative writing, and they do a young author's book. And we were like, okay, we're perfect charity for us. It's all about creative storytelling, and they tutor kids K through 12th grade. And we were just there on this past Thursday, and these kids were immediately enamored, just flipping through the monster manual, going at everything. And then you just start to see, it really does start to open up their imaginations, and they're seeing these things that maybe wouldn't have been triggered otherwise. And that's also why I love comic books as well. There's so many, comic books kind of had a bad rap back in the 70s because moms were like, oh no, it's books with pictures. You need to be reading books with words, and they don't
Which, by
understand.
the way, books with words are good too.
All great, also
Books with
great,
words.
also great. But it's it's unfair to judge what unlocks your imagination.
Yeah.
And whatever is going to invoke that in people, I'm all for. And especially with Dungeons and Dragons, we've seen with a lot of kids, it can help, being more comfortable with themselves, and it kind of builds confidence because you do have to evoke that in a lot of these characters, and it can really just be a great escapism tool. A lot of these kids who might have a hard time in their home life, or maybe aren't as popular or get bullied at school, and then they can go and in D&D be awesome. They can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah. And from an actor standpoint, there are a lot of characters and a lot of voices I've developed and then booked on various roles that started as a non-player character in my high school. I'll get an audition and be like, oh, well, this is kind of like Natibe Curios back in my 2002 campaign of Ravenloft. All right, I'll pick that one up. And so, yeah, from an acting standpoint, it's been a tremendously helpful experience in finding different voices and characters, personalities, and playing in that realm.
I saw a Vine on social media today of you doing like a spider screaming or something, and people are like, "Best DM ever." Like, I don't think many people who have campaigns out there and throughout the world get as many different varied characters and monster voices.
Oh man, I
as you
have
do.
no shame, thank God.
Yeah.
I do whatever on the internet and go drive home afterward going, what did I do?
Yeah, you did. You made a bunch of fans, is what you did. Yeah. Just for clarity, 826 LA. What was it?
826.
826. Yeah,
Okay.
the numbers 826 LA for
What's
Los
the
Angeles.
826 for? Just
Well, they
curiosity.
got their name from they originally started in San Francisco, and they were on like 826 Painter Street or something
Yeah,
like
okay.
that, and so they call themselves 826 San
That was their
Francisco.
original address.
There are 826s in a lot of the major cities, and what they do is they have storefronts that help fund the program, and all of the stores are themed depending on what city you're in. So here in Los Angeles, it's time travel. So they have the time travel mart, and it's just like silly little tchotchkes that you can buy, and behind the store is this amazing tutoring program going on that you might not even know. And I think in San Francisco, it's pirate themed.
Yeah.
And I think in Chicago, it's like aliens in space. I'm not sure. I know in New York, it's superheroes.
Yeah.
So there might be an 826 in your area, and they're all awesome. And
Nice.
also the
Juicy field
stores.
trip.
Yeah, I was gonna say the stores are great date locations.
Nice.
Because they're fun and exciting, and yeah.
And if you're interested in tutoring, you can check out their website. There are ways that you can apply to actually help tutor a lot of these kids yourself. So
Cool.
It's good fun.
Nice.
They're awesome.
I like talking about the nerdy stuff, but it's like we can get some good vibes going out there.
Yeah.
Get some people checking out fun charities.
Yeah.
Let's get into some questions. We got lots of questions.
Totally.
We started a
Yeah.
little bit late. We're running a little bit late. You guys are good, right? Do you have to,
We're
do you have to
good.
rush
We're
anywhere?
good.
Okay.
Tons of questions. This is from SmileyFace97. If you guys could spend a day with one of your characters that you've acted or played in D&D, who would it be?
Acted and played in D&D.
Or it could be just one of your, your cohort's characters too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was say I'd probably be more apt to hang out with one of our other players than
which
my
one?
own.
Which one would you want to hang out with?
I'd love to hang out with the twins, with Vex and Vax. I bet they'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I bet they'd be fun.
They're
I
intense.
think hanging out with Grog would also be fun. I think going out drinking with Grog.
There you go.
Let's go bar hopping with Grog.
Drink grog with grog and make it
Drink
even more
grog with
meta.
grog.
There you go.
I think yeah.
I don't know, I'd probably like to hang out with one of the NPCs that's part of the story. Is name is Lady Kima. She's a halfling paladin of Bahamut, and she's kind of this real rough and tumble, no nonsense halfling badass, but with a soft side. And I like her a lot, so I'd probably hang out with her.
Nice. This is from, from Amos Wilkes. I'm not sure what these
Amos?
names. I'm sorry.
Amos.
Maybe Amos Wilkes, maybe.
There you go.
Would you ever do a live episode of Critical Role at an event like Comic-Con?
I mean, yeah.
It's been talked about.
Yeah.
It's been tossed around.
Yeah, the logistics of having the equipment there at an event, and because we'd want to stream it online at the same
Yeah.
time, so it wouldn't be a Tom Pocket thing. We've talked about it, and we're definitely up for the idea if we can make it work in the future. So if we
Only
do,
Geek and Sundry had a big presence at Comic-Con, Like,
Yeah.
if
I
only
know,
they did
yeah, if
stuff.
only,
if only then.
Just maybe you can convince them one of these
Yeah,
days.
so I would say it's definitely a possibility in the future.
Yes.
Definitely.
Maybe.
This is from Mr. Gamer Nerd. Which celebrity would you guys like to play D&D with?
Vin Diesel.
We have a list. Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert.
hesitation.
Vin
Oh, Colbert was
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Vin Diesel. God, how many? We have a list.
Ice-T.
That is the
Think
fastest
he might.
response
Ice-T
in
with
the
him.
history of the show.
Like, goddamn dragons.
He's just grabbed his sword. God, if you guys haven't seen it, Ice-T's book his audio book of some fantasy novel he did. I think it was a D&D book or something. Was it Dragonlance? It's amazing having Ice-T try and find his way through this fantasy.
Yeah, and then hearing him
narration's
talk
beautiful.
about it afterwards, he's like, "What the shit did I just read?" And you're
So
like,
good.
"Yeah,
So
Steve.
good.
Yeah,
He'd be fun.
yeah, he'd be fun." Dan Harmon, of course,
Yeah,
who
Dan
is
Harmon
an
would
active D&D player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually just recently met him, and so if you're watching this, Dan Harmon,
Yeah, which he probably is.
you know,
It's funny. I
yeah.
actually was talking to Liam, which is how we got you guys involved
Yeah.
with the show today. But I was talking to him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's great." I'm like, "You guys have a tabletop show. We have a tabletop show. That'd be really fun. It'd be great if you guys were coming in." I actually might be spoilers. I might be on tabletop this week. Ben was talking about bringing in some other people because our Hogger's an orc, right?
Yeah.
He's a straight up orc. Our orc is out of town this week, so
Gotcha.
they cannot
Out of
continue the
town.
campaign. So yeah, they were thinking about doing
He's
something
his own orc.
different. So it was like, oh, it'd be kind of fun to bring you guys in for Fiasco or something, or like maybe we could be on Critical Role. And he was like, no, we don't do that. I'm sorry. No. the cast is locked. We don't do. We have no guest stars or something like that. No, I'm sorry. I was like,
So-
oh, sorry. Wow.
Chat wants to know, you wouldn't have Burt Reynolds come on?
Oh, we've
Tabletop
joked
characters?
about Burt Reynolds as well.
I mean, if Burt Reynolds were ever interested in playing Dungeons and Dragons, we will make room for Burt Reynolds.
Oh, not for GT.
Like, no offense whatsoever, but Burt Reynolds.
No, yeah, of course.
I mean, you understand.
We're kind of like the Burt Reynolds of the gaming industry.
We're in line behind Burt Reynolds. We established that. I mean, when the site was founded, we knew that.
If you come with mustache, we'll
Yeah.
reconsider.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Mustache. It's all about the
It's
mustache.
a work in progress.
I don't know why Vin Diesel's number one though. Why is Vin Diesel number one?
Vin Diesel's number one for me because, in my opinion, he's one of the first real kind of reputable non-geek celebrities that unabashedly vocalized that he grew up and still plays Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
and was like, yeah, I do. It's awesome. What of it?
Yeah, he's like the ultimate guy who's like, I'm Vin Diesel, I'm a badass, and I love Dungeons and Dragons, y'all. And you're like, oh, you can be everything at once.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so for me, it was really inspiring to see that he was one of those first to really kind of get people to back off that stigma and be like, well, if Vin Diesel plays it, I guess it's not all that bad.
Yeah.
You know, so
Maybe that was it. That was the turning point. Was
That-
Vin?
that may have been.
He brought it around
he's,
for everybody.
he's the crux of everything.
Exactly.
The fulcrum.
What if you got in a rule debate with Vin Diesel? Would you back down? You know, if he was just like, I don't know, Matthew.
If I'm dungeon mastering, no.
Yeah. No?
If I'm
No?
dungeon master, well, because he has to respect the
Reynolds?
dungeon master.
Burt Reynolds?
No, I'd
Wow.
smack Burt Reynolds
Nice.
down. Dungeon master has
Respect.
the minute the dungeon master backs away from a player, the minute the rest of the world begins to crumble, man.
Well, is there any tension between you guys? Does he ever make a call that you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring that up later?
Yeah, do I?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. No.
I try and play
For the most
pretty
part.
fair.
Yeah, we can compartmentalize pretty well.
Good.
For the most
What
part.
does that mean?
What? We're living at home. It's
There
a
you
good
go.
thing.
Okay, good.
You spent 5 hours there. You're not gonna bring stuff up later.
Moving to a question now. Chachi-san wants to know, do you guys have any character relationships that you personally ship in Critical Role? Could be NPCs or player characters.
Oh, it's hard to. That's an unfair question to put on us. It's hard to say.
I can't answer because I control all the NPCs.
And I can't really answer because that might be secret stuff that has to be revealed during gameplay.
That in and of itself is an interesting answer.
It is. That-
Yeah.
We will accept it.
There are a
Plus-
lot of cool dynamics between the characters and the non-player characters, and there have been kind of touches here and there of romance, which is a rare thing in a role-playing game environment, but it's been really cool to kind of see these little sparks here and there, and we'll see where they go.
Yeah, and honestly, I've got my character's underlying thoughts, but they still develop and change with every game. It really is kind of like a real life person that you're like kind of hop in and puppet once a week. Yes. And so it's like we don't know. We don't know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm
we
like,
don't know.
I'm way too invested in my character. Like, if his story doesn't end the way that I hope, it's gonna destroy me. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It's not gonna go well. We're in a really, really bad situation, right? We're inside the brain of a goddess,
Spider
goddess, and there's like a weird explosion happening, and then he's like, "Well, we gotta continue next week," and we're like, "God damn it!"
We've been there.
Let me tell you.
Killed her, though.
Hope we don't die next week.
Yeah.
That's always a fun feeling.
There is no more pressure on a dungeon master than to know that you're running a world where character death is very much a possibility, and if it ever happens, the internet is going to stab you in the face.
There's actually a question from Like Narwhal. How would you handle a really popular character dying in a really dumb way?
We'll handle it. Like,
Hasn't happened, I guess.
We've
No,
had
I
a
mean-
character die, but they managed to just bring him back to life barely.
Yeah, we've gotten close because, and a lot of it is player responsibility. That's what everyone needs to understand. Is like he presents the challenges, and then it's up to us to figure it out. You're not trying to kill us, but we could just be stupid and get in and kill ourselves.
I've killed players in other campaigns before.
It just might happen.
And without that kind of impartial DM judgment of what, sometimes people might die, then the game kind of loses its stability. And to me, if a really popular character dies, how impactful will that moment be and drive the story forward, the memory of that character for the rest of the party? Plus, it gives the player a chance to maybe try out a new class. So, good things will come out of it. But yeah, it'll be very hard on me the viewers and the party, definitely.
Yeah, we've already had fans be like, "Oh God, if you kill Vax, I'm gonna hate you so
no
much,
pressure.
Matthew Mercer."
No pressure.
Yeah.
Tuxedo Mask wants to know, are there any plans to possibly bring back some of the characters from the Slayer's Take quest line? Would love to see Kashaw return.
Very specific.
Very
question.
specific,
Nice.
specific question.
Taking the opportunity.
That would be cool. I mean, it depends on where the story takes them, and having guests on the stream is a bit of a strain to the story, so we can't do it too often.
As Liam made clear.
Yeah. That character, Kashaw, was actually played by Will Friedle, who is the voice of Bumblebee in the cartoon right now. He's also the voice of Star-Lord in the new Guardians cartoon.
And he was just Robin in Batman Unlimited, or Batman
Yes.
Unlimited, yeah.
Which was weird considering he was Batman in Batman Beyond.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he played
Like you're
his
getting demoted in
Yeah.
a weird way.
Yeah.
Downgraded. Like, oh, no,
was-
I'm a sidekick.
It was his first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, and he just jumped in 2 feet first and kicked ass. So, like, I'd love to have some of the guest players back if it fits in the story and we have room. But we also have other guests that might want to come on, So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
This is from Tongue Surgery. Me and my friends are playing D&D for the first time. We're having fun, but everyone seems too shy to try and act or create backstories or motivations for their characters. Do you have any advice on how I can get everyone to come out of their shells and commit to role-playing?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Matt?
Shell cracking.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it just has to happen over time, especially if it's a first experience for a lot of people. I would recommend, and I know it sounds kind of harsh at first, recommending a mandate that the players do write about a half page to a page back history, because there is something about sitting there and having to creatively come up with a character's background that automatically makes you more invested in the character and understand them a little better. And I think a lot of it is coming to understand the core of your character, and so that I think is a great stepping off point. And then from that, it just comes with your responsibility as a DM to engage them as well. If you're passively creating NPCs and not playing their role as actively, the players will do the same in kind. Whereas if you as a dungeon master reach forward and be like,
You there! Let me see your face. Yes, I've seen you before. What is your name?
the player is more inclined to take a moment and be like, what are you doing? And then probably respond with a little more gusto than they would have had previously. So
Should Ben just drop that right in the middle of the tabletop?
He does some pretty weird shit.
Yeah, and I would just say try and encourage them to speak in their characters. And I mean, we've had a few people message in and being like, "Oh, watching you guys is almost intimidating because you set the bar really high." And it's like, you don't have to do a crazy voice. You don't have to put it on. Like, it's not, it's definitely nothing to feel pressure over for sure. It's more important to just get involved and participate. And, just if you don't know how to kind of ease into it, our recommendation is always to start with your stats. Lean into your stats a little bit. If your character's, got really high strength but low charisma, maybe just a bit dumb strong type, kind of like Grog. My character, I have really low charisma, but I have really high wisdom. So I'm kind of like the quiet one who kind of is awkward in the background. So, you can take what you've rolled and what's on the paper and use that to extrapolate a character. And with that, 5th edition D&D has this amazing tool kind of in the back that helps you build a character for those newbies who might be like, where do I start? It's overwhelming too much. And they've got a little character kind of creation thing where it can help you with your motivations and
your flaws,
yeah,
and your bonds and stuff like that, and kind of
Right.
help you construct a character personality through just the chart system, and then you can use that as a good role-playing basis.
We actually did a great kind of one-off session where it was like a D&D how-to, and we helped a bunch of our friends, Dan Casey being one of them, and Zach, our overlord over at Geek and
Iffy and
Sundry,
those
and
guys
Iffy.
there,
And they made their characters on the stream, and Dan decided he was going to roll, because the background generator that they have, it also is numbered, and you can roll a d8 and essentially randomly generate your background. And what he did, he utilized it beautifully. He was like, I just want to see what chance gives me. Used a d8, randomly rolled his backstory, and then used what he got and extrapolated from that even more and built on it and made this awesome character.
Classic dwarven character.
Yeah, who was like a pirate, like a sailor, and had these like amazing, and he rolled it and then was like, it's like your motivation is that you rush into battle, but you have a good heart, and then you can take that and build from there. So 5th edition is really great for new people who might be uneasy.
I always found I really like to play characters that are very much not me. And I wonder
Yeah.
if, like, sometimes maybe if you really kind of model your character after yourself, especially if you're first starting out, then you feel like, I don't want to say too much because I would be revealing too much about myself.
Right.
Because I feel if it's really different from me, then it's just like, I would never,
whatever.
I would
I'd
never
never
do
do
this.
this. Yeah.
But it's fun because I get that impulse. It's just kind of like knocking on my brain, like, this is when your character
Yeah.
would do this thing.
Absolutely.
I also wonder, this is just from my history, but I don't know if this is like the way you've done it or the way this is commonly done. But a lot of times before I'll start a campaign, I'll have at least one session just with the DM and myself. That's just my character before I obviously meet anyone else.
We did that with Ben.
And
too.
so, I can kind of like learn a little bit about my backstory, like meet a couple NPCs that when they come up later in the story, it's like, oh yeah, I know who that is. And the other people in the party are like, who's that? And it's like,
what?
oh,
Yeah.
I have
That's
history
really cool.
with them, you don't.
I like
and
that.
so it's fun. Like I'm doing a Vampire the Masquerade campaign that we've been doing for like 2 or 3 years
fun.
now. And it's fun because they'll bring up like some, vampire will come in and like all of a sudden like the eyes will widen of someone in the party. And we're like, what? And they're like, I can't say anything. We're just like, ooh, there's something happened.
Intrigue.
I
It's
love
cool.
that.
Just that
Yeah.
backstory's fun, and I think that might help people come out of their shell a little bit if they have their own secrets. They have their own
Yeah.
little fun story.
Absolutely.
And stuff they can keep to themselves.
And to be fair, like not every game has to be crazy roleplay. Sometimes some people just want to play a dungeon delve. They want to just
Right.
go kill some monsters, get loot, and that's cool too. So make sure that you talk with your players before you start playing and understand what they want out of the game. To make sure you don't have too much conflict of interest based on what the players are hoping to achieve or get out of it. Because you have they have like half drama folk and then half number crunchers. You might have a bit of an issue there at some point.
One more question.
Hang on.
Wait, no, Ian's.
Quick fun fact. My phone just made a weird thing that I've never seen it do. And we're under a tsunami advisory right now.
Whoa! California.
It's
Yeehaw.
south of us, so we'll be
Tsunami,
okay.
Snake.
Look
Tsunami.
at my phone.
we could use
What's
the
that from?
water.
It's
Chat, what's that
45
from? Let me
minutes
know.
south of us, so don't worry. I just thought it was weird.
High ground then.
Well, we'll talk about role-playing games till our death and be okay with it.
I do want to throw that out to chat to see if anybody knows what that's from. Tsunami,
Yeah.
Snake. Tsunami. Anybody? It's from a movie. Anybody know? Say it, chat.
Nobody knows what that is.
It's actually
The name is a giveaway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know.
It's kind of what
There's
Solid
not many
Snake
films
is based
with
on.
It's based on,
protagonist
yeah.
named Snake.
There may be a
there.
leaving someplace involved, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like a
Possibly.
city? Like
Yeah.
a big city?
One or two city that you're in and you might
Escape
want
from
to
More of an
LA?
urgent-
Is it Escape from LA?
escape
Yeah, it's
from
more
LA.
of an
Escape from LA,
urgent
totally.
leaving. Yeah, more
Yeah.
like an escape.
Nobody in the chat got it.
No.
They might be
Sorry.
too young.
Tsunami, Snake. All right.
Um,
One more question.
This is from CDJ Gamer. Have you guys ever played, and do you have any thoughts on Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door for the GameCube? This is a recurring question on our show.
Okay,
I had to
gotcha.
ask.
But it is important.
ruin it if
And you
you
guys said you were
explain
gamers.
it.
If you didn't say
Correct.
You said you're like, no, we don't really, it's mostly
Correct.
Just the
My GameCube experiences were largely Eternal Darkness and Resident Evil 4. I did not play the Paper Marios, partially because I played and loved Super Mario RPG back in the day, and I felt as a follow-up RPG, just from a visual standpoint, I was kind of disappointed it wasn't a continuation of that. Though I hear it's really good, and I'm kind of lamenting the fact that I didn't play it.
Yeah, my GameCube experience was Mario Kart and Metal Gear Twin Snakes. So I also missed out on that train.
these are good GameCube games.
It's a great game. It comes up every week.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
And can I also just
Yeah.
personally enjoy you playing RE4 with no knowledge whatsoever that you were going
None.
to one day
Yeah.
None,
be
man.
taking over the role of Ryan
Also
Kennedy?
RE4 GameCube.
Did that has that ever happened also where you're like you're into a show and then they like remake it later or something and you're like oh that's me.
It happens. I got to be Tigra on the new Thundercats on Cartoon Network a few years back, and as a kid that grew up watching Thundercats, that was like I had the figure of my character still from my childhood. It's just to me, as growing up a geek and growing up a gamer, and then being able to kind of make a career in that realm, it's a perpetual nostalgia trip. My little inner 8-year-old is doing cartwheels every other week. So yeah, I'm really appreciative and thankful for where I am and what I have for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, we get to be big kids every day, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
You guys are fun big kids. It's
Yeah.
fun being big kids with you guys.
Yeah. Everyone should be big kids.
So so we're a little bit over time. We started a little bit late. Don't want to
That's
drag
okay.
your evening on for too long. I think we're going to wrap up the show. Really quickly, I'm going to talk about stuff that we're doing this week. We talked about our top 10 anticipated games of fall 2015. Tomorrow, we are continuing our part 8 of Final Fantasy VII. They just announced the big remake of that.
Oh, yeah.
That we're going to get, I don't know, in 10 years or something. So, just slowly anticipated. We are playing Final Fantasy VII piecemeal, week by week. Super Mario Maker also came out recently, and Mr. Don Casanova and myself are constructing levels for every member of the GT staff to play, and they're going to check those out Friday evening. We're also going to just play other levels that we built. Kyle said he's putting a couple levels together. We might get a chance to check those out. I'm building a level that I know I want to show off.
I'm sorry, Brandon. So are we doing? Or is it like this is the level for Elyse?
This is the Elyse Willems level.
Oh my god.
That Elyse Willems
It's
is
gonna
going
be
to
a nightmare.
You gotta like explain that to Don, because he was like, he read your email out loud to me.
Yeah,
Like,
we
what the
met
hell
right
is
before the show.
Brandon
Yeah,
talking- Okay, I was like, good.
We
okay.
checked in on something. I mean, it's like, there's only so much. You have Mario tools, so there's only so much you can do. So it's like, I see what you did, making that level just for me. It's like, not really, except for Kyle. I mean, you're not gonna enjoy your level, that's for sure. We're gonna spend about 20 minutes on Kyle's level. I'm writing checks my body can't cash. Okay. Tons of reviews. We're kicking off review season. Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows is up. No, tomorrow. It'll be up tomorrow. Of course, more episodes of GT Time, our podcast, mandatory update, Final Bosman, Huber hype, even though Huber is out this week. Tabletop Adventures, which we've been talking about the entire show. Something's happening tomorrow. I have never been on their actual Tabletop Adventures, even though they've brought in a couple random characters. I've yet to be on the show, so I've yet to have Ben Moore as a DM.
Oh, I'm excited for you.
I know. Fun. Believe it or not, our review of Final Fantasy Heavensward is actually on YouTube and on the site. Has it gone up on the site yet? It's up. We only got a handful of guys to review games here at GT, and Ben Moore, who we've been talking about a lot, who's our TM. It took him 2.5 months to review Heavensward, the first expansion of Final Fantasy XIV. But he did it, damn it. That's all that matters. Somebody created a Twitter account just to ask him consistently, when is this review happening? So
Oh my god.
he finally did it. Thank you,
Well
Ben, for
done.
working on that. Also, Mr. Mike Huber reviewed Destiny: The Taken King, which everybody is playing right now, which you're probably playing right now. And NHL 16, lots of reviews this week. Also, the Sony press conference from TGS was earlier this week, and Kyle and myself and a couple other people sat down to talk about the highlights and lowlights from the show, and you can also check that out. So that is this week on Game Trailers. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about stuff? I know there's like a gray area between stuff that you can talk about and stuff that you can't yet. Is there anything other than obviously Critical Role that you want people to know about?
Well, anything you want to talk about?
I mean, play Metal Gear right now.
Right.
So,
Play Phantom Pain. Play
Capture
Mad
one,
Max.
kill the other.
yep.
Play Mad Max. Play Phantom
Were you
Pain.
Mad Max?
You'll hear me a lot as a lot of different War Boys and War Boy
Okay.
commanders, and it's like, get them over there! It's like, big tearing your throat up stuff, so you'll be beating up a lot
So
of
I shivved you.
a lot.
Probably,
Give you some shits.
Yeah,
some shits.
or gave me gasoline at some point for faction. I don't know. Also, I don't know. There's that new Kindred champion on LoL that looks kind of cool. Voiceover, and that's pretty nice.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, so other than that, like, if you guys feel like checking out Critical Role, we stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Geek and Sundries, Twitch, and every Thursday thereafter that we can.
And you
The
can,
sites are first archived on the website, so you can go there. And if you want to catch up,
you can catch up. Go to
Geek and Sundry site is
geekandsundry.com.
probably the place to go.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
definitely.
They have it all there under their show section. So yeah, and on Twitter you can be followed.
Yeah, you can follow me at Marisha_Ray.
And myself at Matthew Mercer.
Yeah.
Some say we kind of OD on VO guests here on GT Live. Like, I'm admitted, like I do voiceover for the website. My wife's in voiceover, so like I love voiceover.
awesome.
I love meeting people in the industry. I love talking about voiceover.
Yeah, they're nice
But
people.
We didn't. I think we did a good job of keeping it mostly table talk.
It's
Yeah.
Throughout the show, and it was fun to learn more about the show, and it was fun to talk to you guys about it. So
Yeah,
thank you so much
thank
for
you
coming
so
by.
much.
Hopefully, we
This
can
was
do it again soon. Have
Definitely.
you on our
Yeah.
show just to play games in general.
Both.
We'll
Yeah.
see you next week. Wait,
Don't
what?
play Dropsy too late, Blood.
Yeah, seriously, we're just gonna leave Blood right there and just continue playing Dropsy. Anything to wrap up the Dropsy talk, Blood? Any new advancements?
I mean, I got some things accomplished for sure. There's a little girl who had like a wilted flower, and so like I had the dog dig up the flower originally, just trying to figure out what to do with it, and then I found like another like potted flower, and then the little girl was dancing, and all that. But now I'm kind of in a point where I'm not sure what to do.
The commitment.
I love like closing my eyes and imagining Blood like dreamed it, and like he's like coming in the first thing in the morning, and he's just like, so I had this dream. There's a girl, and I was in a clown outfit.
Just listening to him describe this game makes me want to kill
I know.
myself.
Oh, it's so fascinating. So more of Dropsy, more
Maybe
Blood.
We can end on a hug. We'll
And
hug
on a
this,
hug, yeah.
this girl.
More GT coming, and of course we'll be back next week. Thank you guys for watching.
Bye.
See you.
Take care, guys.